Good afternoon, guys. How are we all doing? Today is a bit of a heavy duty one. We're going to be talking about the reality of the cost of living crisis as far as what the new caps for energy prices are going to mean for many people in this country, in the UK. Now, as many of you will know, we had a price increase in March of 53%, which has upped a lot of people's energy bills to over $1,300 a year, which was quite a hike for many. It was for us. It wasn't that big a deal, but what's coming in October is horrific. And hey, Teresa, how are you, darling? How are you, my love? So in October, on October the 1st, Ofgem have announced, Ofgem being the ombudsman and the overseer of the electricity and gas prices in this country, in the UK, they have announced that there will be an 80% price hike for electricity prices. That will mean that the average family who was already paying £1,300 a year will now be paying £3,549 per year. Hi, Jonesy. How are you, darling? Good to see you. What they've also announced is that that's only going to last for 3 months. And as of the 1st of January, they are expected to rise that cap again by another 50%, which means that the average home's electricity prices will then be £5,353.50 per year. I'm just going to let you think that sink in for a second. You've been hit also in the US? Okay, yep. So from going from £1,300 a year in March, which was bad enough for many people, that was quite catastrophic. People were already choosing whether to heat or eat. Okay, heat or eat means that either to heat their homes or to eat, feed their children or themselves, because of the cost of electric and gas at that point. What this means in October is two things. One, we're going to probably see catastrophic death over winter. There will be pensioners, disabled people, children, those who are working, who just can't afford these bills. It just can't do it. Who just will not be able to afford to put money in their meter, because over here in this country, we have prepaid electric in over 10 million homes in this country. And if they don't put money in the electric meter, it means that they don't have electric, period. There's no getting away from it. The other thing is as well, most of those people, most of those 10 million people are people who just don't have the money anyway, and a lot of them are on different benefits of different resources, etc. And it's there to make sure that they do keep the electric on, that they don't lose their bills and all of that kind of thing. The only thing is that they're actually paying the highest rate of electric in the country for that privilege Hi, Seeker. How are you doing, darling? It's good to see you. So, prepaid. Yes, prepaid, Teresa. Prepaid electric meters and gas meters. So they can't afford to turn around and say, I mean, Tanny and I, before we moved, we had prepaid electric. We were paying around £30 a week, but we had both computers going pretty much all the time. Okay, so if his wasn't going, mine was going, and vice versa, and they were going pretty much all the time. So while he was, and we allowed for that. That wasn't a problem. I was earning money streaming from Twitch, which I can't do at the moment because obviously my internet isn't that great. So I've lost that kind of income. Hi, feathered friends. How are you, darling? But so we were able to wear it and it wasn't a problem. And we knew that that was there. It was what it was. However, what we did notice before we moved, when they upped the prices to start with last year, or no, it was back in March, our payment went from £30 to £45 per week on the electric. So it meant, excuse me, a good sneeze. Ooh, it was a little bit harder to deal with, but we managed because at that point Tanny was then working and we were able to manage that, and it wasn't such a hardship. Plus, the other thing you need to remember is because he wasn't home for 14 hours a day, his computer wasn't on. So it was only my computer that was on, and the only other things that were running in the house all the time were, thank you, the fridge and the freezer. Pretty much that was it. So that was kind of harsh, actually. Yeah, blue exploded. So yeah, that was pretty harsh. And that was in a 1-bedroom flat that was smaller than the place that we're in now. It basically was the size of our living room and dining room our living room and kitchen that we have now. Hi, going slowly nowhere. Hi from Norway here. Not sure how I stumbled over your channel. You are easily one of the best speakers I've found when it comes to this disaster. Oh, bless you. Thank you. And welcome. Welcome in. Hi, Karen. How are you, darling? It's good to see you. Now, one of the things that I want you guys to understand is just exactly what people are earning in this country and just how catastrophic this actually is for many. Universal credit is the baseline benefit over here now. They're trying to compile all the benefits into this one benefit, and so that everybody gets the same, no matter whether it's you're on the dole, you're you need help because you're working, or you've got widows pensions or old age pensions or disability pensions, statutory sick pay, any of that is all going to be universal credit. And as you go, if you are on a legacy benefit and you've had to stop and then need to start again, you will be put back onto universal credit now, and you won't be able to get the legacy benefit again. So I have here the base rates of what they are. And I want you guys to understand this, okay? These are monthly amounts of money, okay? Now, if you're single and under 25 years of age, so you've left home, you're anywhere between 18 and 25 or 24, shall we say? That's heard on the radio, we're expected to have a recession next year. We'll have something. Single under 25 for a month to live on, that's to do everything, okay, is £265.31. All right, that's less than £60 a week to live on. That's not a lot of money. It's about £70 a week to live on. In the US, we're being told to expect our electric bills to go up in November, and groceries have already tripled. Yeah, I'm not even getting to, I haven't even got to that yet. I haven't even got to the groceries yet, but this is the big one. So yeah, 260, these are paid for every 4 weeks as well, just so that you guys know. I was having a conversation with my son about it earlier today, because he's on universal credit because he's not well enough to work. Yeah, it's £66.32 a week that they have to live on. Now, that means that they have to pay everything. So if they're living in a council property, the chances are that they'll have housing benefit with that, which means that they don't have to pay for the rent, which is fine. But if they're living outside of a council property, the chances are that their housing benefit for a 1-bedroom place, and I'm only going to go by where we live right now, is £75 a week. Now, that £75 won't even get you a room in a shared house where we live. It won't. You're looking at a minimum of around about £150 to £200 for a room in a shared house. So it won't even cover that. So you would be expected to find that, whatever is left over out of that £66 a week. Hi, Ashley, how are you? Sales prices have almost doubled on food. Yeah. Well, like I said, I haven't even got to that yet. I'm just, this is bad enough as it is right now. So just say, for example, they're in a council flat. They're on their own. They're in a council flat. They've got their rent paid. That's not a problem. All right. But then you've got, like I said, and this was only in March where our electricity went up, I was working from home. All we had was the fridge and the freezer that was going all the time. And at night time, I had a CPAP machine, which I have to have running on the electric as well. All right. Thanks, Ash. So say that's £45 for electric out of £66. All right. So, and that was back then. That's not now. That leaves them £21 to feed themselves for a week and have internet and get to and from appointments or buses or any of that kind of thing without anything else. Okay? I just need you to understand that. All right? That was back in March. What this is going to mean is that they won't have any money left over to feed themselves or to have internet or to get from A to B, because all their money would have to go on the electric and gas. And the chances are that at that point, they won't have it. They literally will not have it. So they won't be able to feed themselves and have the electricity on or keep the house warm or have internet, which a lot of people need desperately for, working at home, or as universal credit is now pretty much only run on journals, online journals. So, if you need to hit appointments and stuff like that, if you don't have internet, you don't have a phone, because you won't be able to pay for your phone or to keep your data going, the chances are you'll get sanctioned because you won't be able to read your journal online. And that's just the under 25s. Okay. Over 25, if you're single, you're on $334 per month, which is what my son's on. 0.91 divided by 4 equals £83.70 People were already choosing whether to heat or eat before all this started. They were already choosing that. That option has been taken away from them completely at this point. That option has been completely taken away at this point. Okay, so if you're over 25 and you're single, you're on £83.72 a week to live on. Not even that will be enough to put enough money in the electric to run a computer, a freezer, and a fridge for a week, let alone turning on any sort of cooking appliance or anything like that. Okay, this is what we're facing right now. Now, if you're partnered and under 25, you get £416 a week and 45p, which isn't even double what the single rate is. It's not even double, okay? Which to me, it should be, because there's two people. Doesn't make it easier to live, you know? And we haven't even been talking about clothing or incidentals at this point. We've just been talking about electric. That's it. Okay, that's it. So if you're partnered and you're under 25, let's divide that by 4. You've got £100 a week to live on. As of January, that won't be enough to pay your electric for the week for the two of you. The state of things here are getting ridiculous. It's not only people on benefits or low-paid jobs that are affected, but everyone with decent jobs. It's that much. It is. Absolutely, it is. We have a well-used saying, heating or eating, but we have had a heat wave. No one's even using heating yet. They're not, but they're buying fans and they're buying coolers, and they're hoping that that will work. So it's kind of a catch-22. It gets really hot. Everyone gets really hot, but they start turning on the fans. Yeah? But they can't afford to turn the fans on, just like they can't turn the heating on. So you're kind of in a rock and hard place situation here. Now, for two people living on universal credit who are under 25, that's not going to be enough to pay the electric as of January. Not even of October. To have a couple of computers going, a fridge and a freezer for a week, and the lights in the evening. We haven't even talked about electric heating yet. So if you're partnered and over 25, you get £525.72 for the two of you, which again is not even double what the single rate is. Okay? It's not double. It's not. Divide that by 4 and you've got £130 to live on per week. £131 times 52 equals £6,834. All right. Now, as of January, let's just go from October. Okay. If you take off the £3,449 that it's going to cost to heat the average home, you've got £3,285 left. Let's divide that by 52. That's £63 a week to feed, clothe, and look after yourselves. And do the things you need to do. £63 a week. Now, I went and did some shopping the other day, and I bought some very basic things. Okay? Very basic things. And it cost me nearly £30 more than it would normally cost me. It would normally have cost me about £15. It ended up costing me nearly £40. Very basic things. I'm talking bread, milk, a few veg, you know, a bit of deodorant, you know, toothpaste. I found some tomatoes that were marked down. So I bought those so that I could make some stuff at home. But yeah, that came almost to £40 on its own. Just on its own. And it wasn't anything extravagant, and it wasn't anything treat-like. It wasn't any of that. Now, the minimum, the best best internet that we can get here in York costs £23 a month, if you can get it. So let's say that you're able to get that, and we're going to say, let's take that off. £23 a month equals £40, right? So that's because you're going to pay for it out of one of your week's wages, right? Okay. Then one of your partners, one of them, needs to have a lifeline in the house. A lifeline or a piece of medical equipment that requires electric to run. Well, that's going to cost you an extra £20 a week in electric. So we're going to take that off, minus 20. Now, remember when I said I got milk, bread, some other incidentals, that very, very basic necessities as far as groceries and living things are concerned. Not any major food or anything like that. Not any meat. I didn't buy any meat. I did get a packet of bacon. I got a packet of bacon. And that's not including the gas. Not including the gas, which is what most people use to heat their homes over here, is gas central heating. And I can tell you now that last year, during winter, it was costing us £30 a week in gas to keep the house warm. And our house had very little insulation and leaky windows. How are people going to do that? How are they going to pay for that and eat out of 20 quid that's left over? And that's not including bus fares to get to and from these appointments that the DWP, the Department of Works and Pension, want you to get to on a weekly or fortnightly basis, where a day ticket here in York now is nearly £6. In Devon, where I used to live, they're £9.80 for the day. That's two people's money gone. And all they've done is pay for the electric, get some internet, and tried to feed themselves. How are they even going to do that? It's not even possible. And we're only talking about people on benefits. We're not even talking about people on pensions, right? Now, there was a document that was leaked from the Treasury Department a few days ago that reveals energy companies' expected profit in the next 2 years is £170 billion. £170 billion in 2 years. While people are choosing whether they can buy some beans to feed themselves. Food banks are crumbling, and the food banks are crumbling that we've been relying on for so long, or the Tory government have been relying on for so long, as part of their budgeting plan to feed people, because they're not going to put up the payments, are crumbling because no one can afford to donate to them anymore. They can't afford to run anymore. They've had cuts in their budgets. No one can afford to offer on extra food. And they're crumbling. They can't cope under the weight of what is expected of them at this point. I will get to chat in a second. I just want to finish this. All right. There is approximately 67 million people in this country. 25% of them are 24 and under. So the children, basically. Most under 25s are living at home still because they just cannot afford. They cannot afford to live outside of the home. But if these electricity companies, these energy companies are expecting 170 billion pounds in pure profit in the next 2 years, that's £2,537.31 per person, including children, that they are making profit from. I'm just going to let that sink in for a second. You got 67 million people. Well, it's actually a few more than that. But around 67 million people in this country. The energy companies are expecting to make 170 billion pounds a year in the next 2 years, which means that every person, every head of person in this country, they are making £2,537.31 a profit from every year for the next 2 years. So that baby, they're making 2,500 profit off. Your 6-year-old, 2,500, £337 profit off. That's what it comes down to. That's what's happening. And people need to know that. Because we sat there and we worked it out. We sat there and worked it out. And if people aren't disgusted yet, they bloody ought to be. Because that money is blood money. And it is blood money. And I don't care if that sounds, catastrophic, or if I'm catastrophizing. This isn't. It is, because it is catastrophic. We are paying 200% more, and have had 200% more in electrical hikes than the rest of Europe. Why? Brexit. Simple. And a government that doesn't care. A government that wants you all just to fall over and freeze to death because they don't care. Why should they care? They buy toilet roll for their house somewhere way away from London and they're putting it on their expenses. We can't do that. We can't do it. But that's the bottom line of what they're doing right now. All right, Pan, take it easy. Let me just go back to chat for a second. My dad's paying £76 for internet and net telephone. I need to sort him out. It's outrageous. That's no TV either. Yeah, that needs to be sorted out. It should never be that much. Meat is so expensive. I don't know how people can afford it. Yeah, exactly. My property is rented. Housing association changed us from coal heating. We chose ground source heating option as it only needs 2 small central heating pumps to run. Lucky we did. Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree with you, darling. Meat, yeah. Joint of pork from Iceland jumped in price from £5 to £6.50 per joint. That's still a really good price, but it is a hell of a jump. Even at a £5, that's a lot. Yeah. We get ham joint at Christmas and a small chicken. The government's on their way out and they care about making as much money as possible. Babe, seriously, I'm not going to... Hi, JT. How are you doing, darling? Honestly, I don't know anymore. Are they? Are they on the way out? Because I can't see it. I can't see it. I really can't. All I can see is a bunch of people who've been gaslit for the last 12 years who still think that it's okay. Now, when I went to Blackpool on the weekend, right, all across the horizon on the water is the biggest wind farm I've ever seen in my entire life. We've got about 4 or 5 of those in this country, not to mention all the houses that have put solar panels on, and you can still do it. There is still a grant, a government grant to do it. I would suggest very, very much that everybody who could possibly do it, do it. Get those solar panels on, get the grant, do it. Even if you get it attached to the grid, okay? You will have free electric during the daytime. That will at least cut your bills down by at least a half. And in summer, you don't need to worry about it because you'll be asleep the only time that it's actually dark for that hour or so. So if you can get solar panels on your roof, do it. Do it. That's what I'm saying. If you've got to go and talk to if you're renting, talk to your landlord. Because they're not stupid, because they know if you can't afford that rent, they're going to lose out too. Because if you can't afford to pay for your electric and gas, you can't afford your rent. They're not fools. Most landlords are not fools. Storage heaters, one of the worst things on the planet, and I feel for anybody who's got them. I really, really do. I really, really do. Now, the other thing that we need to remember as well is that back in 2014, 2015, when David Cameron was Prime Minister, there was a big conversation about minimum wage and a living wage. Now, at that point, they decided to up the minimum wage by 70p an hour, which was nowhere near what it should have been. Nowhere near. Okay. At that point, it should have been double in some places what it was. But he changed the wording to not be minimum wage anymore, to be a living wage. To be living wage. It's not a living wage, it's a minimum wage. Now, in this country, if you're under 18 years of age, that amount is £4.81 an hour. If you are 18 to 20, it's £6.83 an hour. If you are 20 to 22, it's £9.18. And if you're 23 and above, it's £9.50. Now, I can tell you that back in 2014, which is 8 years ago, in London, at that point, to have a proper living wage had to be £18 an hour. Most major cities, it was anywhere between £14 and £18 an hour to have an actual living wage where people could live and not have to worry about the burdens of their bills and earn a proper living. Those are the numbers for today, 8 years on. And it's only gone up by 70 pence. It goes up by about 20p a year, maybe. 10p a year, maybe. Hello, kitten. Yes, I'm okay. Could you let go, please, darling? Okay, sorry. Cat wants in. Oops. Okay, so the other thing that I want to say is this, all right? When it comes down to government benefits and the people who need them, all right? And this is something that people don't realize until they're actually on them, just the catastrophic state that they're actually in at that point and how they have to make ends meet at that point. Now, I've read out to you just exactly what universal credit means to people, how much they're getting per week and how much out of their allowance that's going to be. But I just want to let you know now what the price I was on when my first son, who is now 31 years of age, was born, and I was living in Wales, and he was born in Wales, and I was on what is called income support, which in Australia is a sole parent pension, I had £31.15 a week. And our child benefit at the time was about £9 a week, something like that. And I was under 24. So, you know. That number at this point, now be aware that 31 years later, let's go to 6 divided by 4 equals, has only doubled in 30 years. It's only doubled in 30 years. It is nowhere near what the cost of living is actually. You know, it's not what people need to live on to have a healthy life. I understand that many people who need jobs, etc., but if you're earning £9.50 an hour, out of that, 27% tax straight away. After you've earned £12,000, you already get 27% tax over and above that. Okay. Then you have to start paying your rent. You have to start paying for your meds. So prescriptions have to be paid for at £6 a pop. Okay. And then you've got to pay for childcare if you've got kids on top of that, because there's precious little that goes towards that that's there in government funding. Very little. And you will end up paying about 3/4 of your child support, childcare. Sorry, words are hard. So for a lot of people, it's not worth it because they cannot afford that. They can't. You know, if you start working and you're living in a council property like we are now, you have to pay full rent, which is fine. We can do that. Okay, Ash, take it easy. We can do that. We are a lot better off than some because obviously Tanny is working. We are in a better position than some. However, we still have to pay his taxes. We have to have the money to do that. Plus, we have to have the money for everything else and pay the rent. What this will basically mean is this for us. 1 week of Tanny's wages goes in tax. 1 week of Tanny's wages will go on the rent. And 1 week of Tanny's wages will go on the electric. That gives us 1 week of his wages to live on and do all the things that we need to do. Okay? So let's just have a look at that for a second. All right? So that's around about £500 a week. Okay? So we're going to, or £500 a month for us to live on. All right, so we're going to divide that by 4. That's £125 a week to live on. Yeah. We are better off than a lot of people are going to be. Okay. But that is the bottom line of what it's going to mean for a lot of people, especially those of us who are working, is an entire week's wages in a 4-week month is going to go just on the electric and gas, possibly more. Yeah, Teresa, we're all stunned, darling. Now, I want to... can I do it? Yeah, I want to show an interview that Martin Lewis did with LBC Radio after the announcement of the 80% price hike and 50% in January. Okay. I want to show it to you because this is the top guy in the country. This is the guy that everyone goes to financial advice for. He's the one who's been telling the government for years, this is not okay. All right. And I'd really like to show you guys what he had to say, because honestly, it's a little more than terrifying at this point. Window, Chrome tab. Right, here we go. Hey, Janine, how are you? I'm just going to put on this little interview here. Yep. Okay. So let me know if you guys can hear it, please.
Here's a headline from this morning's Independent. A piece only dropped 25 minutes ago. It's by the journalist Sonny Hundal, and it says, "Why has it fallen to Martin Lewis to save the British public from rising energy bills?" Well, let's ask the man himself. Martin Lewis, why has it fallen to you to save the British public from rising energy bills?
It hasn't. I'm impotent. That's the problem. I feel impotent today. I'm explaining the situation. I don't have any power to do anything. I am completely out of tools to help the most vulnerable, for whom this is a catastrophic, unaffordable price rise that will leave some dying, many others suffering health and mental health problems. And I thought very carefully today about the approach I take on this. And I've had some criticism from the press for catastrophizing. I plead guilty. I have catastrophized this because it is a catastrophe. And I'm now begging and pleading with whomever the new Prime Minister is. It should have been dealt with far sooner. I mean, we've known, I talked about £3,000 October price cap on my TV show. It's recorded back in March. I mean, we've all known this was coming. The price cap is based on a published algorithm with one main variable, which is year ahead wholesale rates. So we've known it was coming. That this is just a crystallization of a number we've been talked about for ages. So all the people saying we need to wait till we know what it is, it's just nonsense. Ofgem would have given the government forward guidance like it did in May if it were asked. So look, it's too late, but that doesn't matter now. I always say, James, the difference between a political activist and someone like me who sees myself as a campaigning journalist is I am not here to try and expose the government failings to ask for a vote. I am here to beg, to plead, to pray that our new Prime Minister understands how urgent this is. And while we've left it late, on the 5th of September, on that day, lays out concrete plans that will stop a sizable chunk of our population having genuine health risks because of lack of food and heat due to this horrible expense, and another sizable chunk of lower and middle earners from having a catastrophic impact on their standard of living.
What would you do?
I would redistribute money from taxation or government debt to lower and middle earners. Energy is a poll tax.
Like a furlough, like a furlough scheme. I mean, you would...
No. I'll be very specific. You Please. Understand the nuances here. Yeah. I am deliberately being agnostic on the mechanism.
Okay.
The mechanism could be a social tariff. It could be freezing the price cap. It could be just over doubling what the handouts that were given in May were. I don't care, because if I come up with a specific solution, and I have ideas, and there are pros and cons to all of them, then what we get into is a debate over, does that solution work? That's irrelevant. This is not about the mechanics. This is about political will. So I would push the will, but that what we have to be plain on, energy is effectively a soft form of poll tax, because energy bills do not rise in proportion to income. The poorest decile do not pay a fraction of the top decile. Only very, very huge houses have really huge energy bills. You know, most, even you go into sort of, the top quarter of homes, they're not that much more than the bottom quarter. So it's a pretty flat rate bill. And therefore, we're going to have to do something that is effectively redistributive, that takes money away from the highest earners, that comes from taxation, or takes money from government debt, and it gives it to those people who will not be able to afford this.
But you know,
and it's James, I've just been working out a stat, and I'm about to put something on social media, so I'm going to give you an exclusive on it. We both talk a lot.
It's a clash.
Look, in May, the predicted rise in the price cap that the government held was just over 40%, taking an October bill to 2,800. But here's the crucial bit of that people aren't saying. In May, we had 6 monthly price caps. So that help was to last from October until April, when the predicted October to April rate was 2,800, or up 40%. Ofgem, and we objected to this and put in a consultation, objected, has moved it to 3 monthly so that firms don't go bust to help with their cash flow. So we now have a 3 monthly price cap. The projected January price cap is up another 50% on top of the 80%, taking a typical bill to £5,386 a year, pro rata. Now, if you average that over the 6 months, that means instead of the 40% rise that was predicted when the help came in, we're now looking at 121% rise over the same period. Instead of £2,800, we're now looking at £4,450 for a typical home. So that means there is a shortfall of £1,600 prorated over that period on the help that was announced in May. That is the scale of the problem. Now, when you remember that a typical new full state pension is just over £9,000 on the new system, £7,000 on the old system, and we're talking about 5,000 bills, and pensioners tend to use more, never mind the fact those on universal credit get less, you can see why this is just simply mathematically unaffordable for the lowest. There is no cutting back. There is no money saving expert. You could put me, someone who's been doing this for 20 years, into one of those households and do every bit of magic and trick in the book, and I would not even get close to scratching the sides of what is needed here.
So there you go. There you go. And that's the top guy. That's the top guy. I think I do these budgeting lives because I want to help people, because I've been there, but I have certain skills that can help people as well. And I want to share those with people. But as he said, there's nothing that I can say and no advice that I can give that is going to make this any better than it already, that is going to make this at any point any better for anyone. Because there's nothing that can make it better. And it hurts. It really hurts because I want to help people. This is what I do. You know, I come on here every week and I give you guys ideas for different things in different parts of your home life and your work life and whatever else. You know? But at the end of the day, if there's nothing to put out, you can't do it to start with. And it's all very well people going, oh, go and put on another jumper. Where are they supposed to get the money to put on another jumper? They haven't got the money to buy a bloody jumper in the first place, let alone go and put another one on. That's what's so harrowing. You cannot pour from empty cups, yet some nag about avocado toast. Seriously, yeah, I completely get what you're saying, darling. I really do. You know? This winter is going to be horrific. Now, there's a lot of people passed away due to COVID. We know that. But I can absolutely guarantee you there's going to be at least 5 times as deaths since COVID this winter because of this. And that's what worries me. I live in a street which is pretty much all disabled people and elderly. And I can see empty cottages are going to be probably 1 in 5 up my street over the next 6 months. And that terrifies me. It absolutely terrifies me. You know, at the moment, I'm trying to talk Danny into maybe having all of the kids round 1 day a week to have dinner, so that if they've at least got a decent meal inside them, we've got the grandkids fed, we've got everybody fed, sorted out. It's something that's going to take a little bit of talking to him about, because he does like his quiet, and he doesn't get much of that, and he doesn't get much time down because he does work 5.5 days a week. So his only day off is a Sunday, and he likes to have his day off on a Sunday, and rightly so, you know, because he works 14 hours a day. But my worry is that those kids are going to be struggling. Do you know what I mean? I don't want them to be struggling. I don't want the little ones to be struggling. And if we can do at least that one thing, at least it's something, you know? And I think it's going to come down to, we're going to have to get our community and our tribes together. And if it's that 1 week someone has dinner at their house and they foot the bill for the electric for that for 1 week, or the next week it's somebody else in the group, and the next week it's somebody else in the group, and the next week it's somebody else in the group, so that cost of that meal for everybody is kind of split around people. I don't know what the answer is, because I'm out of ideas. I am out of ideas, and I can't lie to you about that. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing. Okay? I feel like more than ever what I do is more important now than it ever was before. Because if one thing helps one person, one thing I say or one thing I do helps one person, then for me that's worth it. You know, and for that one person, it's worth it. You know, but right now, I don't know what to say. Now, I want to give an opportunity to anyone who might be in chat who wants to come up and share what's going on with them. If you would like to come up here with me and have a chat and say what this is, and say and be honest about, you know, how this is going to affect you, you're more than welcome. I will be more than happy to just shout out in chat, and I will be more than happy to put the link to come up. Yeah, so you can talk about the realities for you. You know, I've talked about me, and I've talked about generalization of what the realities are. But, you know, sometimes, you know, we need someone to talk to too. And if it helps for you to come up here, then you're more than welcome to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the link. Or if anyone has any questions, okay, that's the link there. I don't often do this. In fact, I don't ever do this. So if you're a troll, be aware. I have troll hunters, and I'm a pretty good troll hunter myself. So, you know, but you're more than welcome to pop up and have a chat. Even if you're not from here and you want to have a chat about, you know, what you've heard or whatever, I'm more than happy to answer any more questions. So, yeah, but feel free to pop up. So does anyone have any questions in chat that they want to ask, or anything more that they want to add, or anything? Because, you know, it's a conversation at the end of the day. I've done a lot of talking. I know that. I always do a lot of talking on a Friday, but like I said, I'm more than happy for anyone to come and join me and continue the conversation on their level as well. So, yeah. Next week on next week's live, I'm going to be looking at the cost of groceries, etc., and what we can look at there. I have covered food before, but I think we need to look at it on another level as well. And I think we're going to do that next week, because that's a big part of this as well. It's the cost of living prices that have skyrocketed. Now, I'm aware that Jack Monroe over at Bootstrap, what's her blog name? Bootstrap. Is it Cooking on a Bootstrap? Yeah, cookingonabootstrap.com is her blog. Now, Jack's been doing this for a very long time. And if you want some really good, really cheap recipes for things to do, she is the lady to go to. Now, she's been an advocate for this, for a long, long time, for people living on benefits and from food banks and such. So, she has some amazing recipes on her website. Go and have a look. I'm likely to take you up on it or email you at some point. I have a few friends in the UK that I'm trying to find ways to secure a bit better somehow. And brainstorming is good sometimes. Absolutely, darling. Absolutely. Always happy to chat. Okay. So, yeah. But we're almost at an hour as well. And I think this has been really, really heavy. And it was going to be, which is why it was called The Conversation That Needed to talk about preps. Yeah, I will talk about preps. Okay. Yeah, I will talk about preps. It's a tough one though over here, hun. The reason being that people just don't even have the money to feed themselves in the week, let alone for preps as well. So what I will do, I'll have a look at that. Okay. And have a look at how we can make it so things are a bit more shelf stable and stuff. I think at the moment everyone is a type of shock state. It's the weather forecast is a storm, and we know it's going to be really bad. But everywhere we normally get help from as closed down or busy. Yeah. I'm not in the UK, so I don't know what sort of resources there are. Maybe we can set up some resources to connect people to food banks and pantry. Yes, that would be awesome. In a recession, yeah, I just think recession is a word to make us feel like, it's not the bankers' fault. It's not the government's fault. It's just we're in a recession. I think it's a cop-out word, to be honest. Yeah, but yeah, I'll think about what you said, actually, Teresa, because I'm going to look at it from a point of view of doing that, but I think I've got to do it in a very careful way as well. I don't want people to think that because we have a little bit more than others that, I'm out of touch, because I'm really not out of touch, because we still do the same things we were doing before. Capitalism is a killer. It absolutely is a killer, and its days are numbered as far as I'm concerned. It's not sustainable. You're absolutely right. It is not sustainable at all. So yeah, no, I totally get you there, darling. It is all very, very terrifying. I don't. But also, I was just checking that the replay's there. Where we work together, where we are still helping each other, where we still smile at each other and talk and have conversations and help where we can and do what we can. And if all we can do is share skills, then there's always help. There's always hope. There is always hope. What I would like to say is to the majority that still think that the government that is in power should stay there, could you please go and watch Bugs Life? Go and watch it. Watch Bugs Life. You know, that's more for those people who think they're only one person and a difference can't be made. A difference can also always. Yeah, the cat's got a bell. She's got a bell around her neck, because if I don't hear her bell, I trip on her quite a lot, and I am disabled and I tend to have quite a lot of falls. So she has a bell, so I know where she is, because she ninjas me and she likes getting right under my feet. So yeah, she does. She has a bell. Yes. Hi. Rude. I'm talking to this lot. What? So rude. Okay. Thanks, Teresa. Yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed it, darling. Okay, so I'm going to go, guys. I will see you guys on Friday. I will be popping up a couple of videos shortly over the next few days. I have actually been doing, yeah, it is. So I will be popping up a few videos shortly of things that I've been able to do. So I'll pop those up as soon as I get them all edited. They will be going up this week. So yeah. All right. You guys take it really easy. It's really lovely to see you all here. I'm sorry it was really heavy this week, but it was a conversation that needed to be had. And I will catch you this time next week. Have a really, really awesome rest of your week. Take it easy. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. I love you guys heaps. Mwah.